Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Relix, and today we're going to go over episode 3 of My Hero Academia for season 7. And if you guys have been watching my videos so far, we've done 2 episodes. And this is full spoilers, so if you guys haven't watched already, please, if you don't want to be spoiled by anything, don't watch this video. I do recommend you go and watch the episodes though, because this one was also just as amazing as the others, and honestly I'm very pleased with the way it was I would not say played out, but the way it was the pacing of the episode was really well done, and I thought everything flowed really nicely in this episode. Comparably to the first 2, I actually like this one a lot, and we got to see a lot of things, so we're going to just jump right in. So first of all, as I've mentioned in the past videos, here is your hero of the episode, Toru Hagakure. She is the invisible girl, and she is the hero for reasons I will explain later on. However, if you guys watch the episode, you guys already know that. Probably your choice too. Honestly, it could have been another as well, but we'll see. So, to start off, and I do apologize, we will have a little bit of different things going on here just because I've had some issues with my OBS. And so if there's anything that's a little off or it looks a little off, I do apologize. So first of all, the episode starts off recapping Star and Stripes' battle with Tomura, and it shows the result right off the bat. Boom. So Tomura returns to the villain's hideout, wherever this may be. And all for one, as you guys can see in the top left corner, he's just kind of smiling. He is kind of laughing at the fact that Tomura, who is now in the bottom left corner, came back destroyed, defeated, and is just totally dead and dying. So obviously he's not going to die, but he is in a lot of pain. In fact, that's something I also want to mention in this episode, is the voice acting from majority of the characters was actually pretty spot on. I will applaud the voice actors for that, because hearing Tomura scream in agony was kind of hilarious. As you guys can see, Toga's face. She's just staring at him like a blank stare. Like, he looks pathetic. It's just hilarious. I thought the scene was hilarious. But you can also see in the top right, Dabi is waiting to do something. His patience is running thin. All for One apparently had a job for him, but however, due to the fact that Tomura is now injured, he has to wait, and his patience is kind of thin right now, since his father Endeavor is kind of out there patrolling, and he wants to go and take him down. We also see that All for One talks to Dabi about being similar in minds, and the fact that even though Dabi has secrets and stuff like that too, All for One does as well. And as you guys can see from this picture here on the right side, that the top is connections. The yellow would be All for One, and the red is his goal. And he has many routes and many ways to get there, and he has connections all over the place that will allow him to do that. And before it cuts back to the school, to UA, it shows Toru, and I'm thinking to myself, what does that mean? He says he has friends in all sorts of places, and it shows her, and we can see the background is just kind of a void. It's not particularly anything, but we can tell that yes, that is Toru. That is her gloves. Obviously I showed you guys in the opening credit scenes as well, that we do get to see her face and body as well, and that clearly is her. So I was like, she's a bad guy, because the title of this episode is actually called Villain, and so I was like, she's a bad guy. Why? When does this happen? I don't remember seeing anything about that happening. So I was quick to be confused about it. So get back to that later on. So do apologize. So yeah, okay. So right after that, it cuts over to UA where the students are training slash kind of like improving their skills. In the last episode, All Might was saying that Star and Stripe had died and that they need to get stronger because they are no longer students of a school. They are now becoming what the heroes need them to be. They need to be pro heroes sooner than later if they're going to be part of this war. And so we get to see a bunch of the students practicing their talents, their skills. So Koda is here, practicing training birds. God, I can't remember all their names, but Tape Guy he's practicing shooting his tapes out all over the place. Not really the best training montage, I will admit, just because it is trying to showcase every student's capabilities. But it is something that is kind of cool to recognize. Tsukiyomi's like kind of ripping through the tape, and then all four of these guys are all practicing. Pretty cool scene. Obviously, I'm not going to show any footage, but pictures will suffice. These guys are all the muscle guys, the guys who are going to be very physical and don't really have as many overall talent. And unfortunately, that's also where I think this episode helps thrive, just because it does showcase all the students and their talents, their quirks. However, it also shows that not everyone is capable of doing some magnificent stuff. We also see Momo using her power to make some, I'm not sure what these are. They do look like music things or like batteries or something. And then Charge Bolt could use his quirk to charge up. Obviously, he can't launch it, but his electric attacks. But it's just, I guess he's getting powered up, empowering him now, so he can feel the power and be able to get used to it, having more in his arsenal. And then Minato, he's throwing his grapes. Obviously, he doesn't really do anything. This scene was obviously hilarious just because he just throws it. That's all he can do. Unfortunately, he's one of those weak heroes that also don't get much stronger. The only thing he can really do is try and get smarter. These two also, he threw them at her, or he threw his grapes at them, rather. And Pinky and Airphone Jack, they use their quirks to basically destroy and nullify the grapes before they can get to them. And then Uraka and Froppy, they're doing their training in the air as well, using rocks. I forgot how the rocks were made, but they work together, throw rocks at Lita, and he's practicing his speed, obviously. And then, of course, Deku and Bakugo are also, training as well. They are actually fighting against one another, which is pretty cool that they're now really close friends. And then, of course, Todoroki is on his own. He is trying to be able to utilize both his ice and fire at the same time and be able to create a ice, strong enough, I think, to counteract Dobby's fire. So if he can take down his brother in his father's stead, then I think that would be great for their whole family. But that is something that he's trying to work on. As you guys can see, he is trying to, hold his hands, one side's ice, one side's fire. And I think that's a pretty cool dynamic that he's starting to really work on his powers for both his father and mother's side. But overall, it was a pretty cool montage of training. I was expecting more actual combat scenarios or something, not just here's everyone's quirks, just to remind you of what everyone's doing. Obviously, it's the new season, so it's people may have forgotten what people do, but it was still cool nonetheless. And I think it was a quick showcase of everyone's skills and what could possibly come in the future as well. So, moving on. They actually talked about how there is reasons why they Charge Bolt, I think he said that why can't they take down the villains now, because Tomura and All For One are weakened and they have the upper hand as far as powerhouses. the stronger heroes. And so it was Bakugo and Yaoyorozu. She said that they both said that there's 3 reasons why they can't take the fight to the villains right now. Is A, they can't find them. Unfortunately, the villains have all the power right now just because of the ragdoll quirk that they stole. She was able to, see ahead, from a distance, quirks that were coming around, sense them. And then, so because of that, the villains can escape and run away and hide for all they want. And then 2, no match for the villains right now because of the short supply of heroes. Obviously, with the Battle of Tomura and, All For One, they lost a lot of the heroes in the area, and not to mention all throughout Japan, and not to mention the whole world, as we discussed in the last episode, is not able to assist Japan right now. So they are very short on, pro heroes that will be able to fight efficiently. And then 3, the villains can make the first move, the heroes cannot. Again, they can't find them, so they can't do anything about it. And then once the villains strike, the heroes have to react. So right now, the villains have all the momentum, all the capabilities right now, and unfortunately, our heroes do not. But Deku says that's why he has to get stronger. And then, of course, the other students take it, or his classmates take it personally, said, we will take them down together. And hence the reason of this. We get a picture of all of them, or a scene of all of them, saying that we are all in this together. It's not just Deku alone. And, as long as they all work together, then there's no reason they can't win. But if you guys also watched this episode, you guys also noticed, and I actually noticed this right away as well, there was actually a couple people missing from the scene. And that also complies with what I saw in the past episode as well. There was a specific classmate that was missing. There's actually 2 missing here, but there was one specific classmate that was missing. And I was like, wait a minute. Where's Aoyama? He is missing. Or at least he wasn't missing necessarily, but he wasn't involved in basically cheering on Deku and being able to, bring him back and stuff like that. So that's where this episode really brings it around, and that's why it's called Villain. So we get this little notion. Toru in the top left corner picture, she was not at the training as well, and she is hiding behind some trees in the forest surrounding UA. And in the distance, we can see that Aoyama and his family, his mom and dad, they look rich. They are rich, and unfortunately, they were caught up in All For One's game, in which they were the ones who actually, probably, I should say, purchased a quirk for Aoyama. And in the end, they had to work for him, basically. It wasn't a free quirk. It wasn't just a purchase kind of thing. Not sure the details, obviously. They're not going to explain everything. But in the end, they were forced to be spies. And not necessarily the parents, but because of what they did, their child, Yuga Aoyama, had to be the spy and infiltrate the school. And as a result, he was the one who caused the attacks on the UA school and the training camp as well in the first couple seasons. So as a result, he was the one who told All For One that things are happening. And if we remember correctly, going back, President Mike, he said that there was a spy amongst them, and all the teachers believed that it was one of them, but it actually turned out to be a student. And so that's where things got really disappointing. And the reason why this also happened is because in Aoyama's childhood, he was quirkless. He was totally quirkless. He had no quirk. His naval laser was not a thing. And the kids all had quirks and he was left out. So the parents didn't want him to be unhappy about that. And so as the episode goes along, they revealed to us that he was sad. The parents didn't want him to be depressed, and so they went and made a deal with All for One to get him the quirk, and that's when that happened. Now, as far as how the episode was playing out, Deku was actually informed by Toru that something's happening. Aoyama is a spy, and so I don't know how he happened to be in the area, but she was able to alert him and tell him to be there. And in the end, the reactions here is Aoyama's, you can see his sad face. He clearly is in a depression of sorts. He is clearly not in his right state of mind. Midori also came over and, his face is full of shock as well. Basically, you guys can see here as well, when Deku was out on the field and the other students helped bring him home and told him it was okay to come back to UA, Aoyama was the only one who didn't actually encourage him. He was the only one who actually didn't say anything to encourage him to come back home. And now it's showing us here that, yes, he was the one who didn't say anything. He feels guilty. He's very sad, and he is still sad, and that's why he's crying, because he has helped All for One take control of basically the world right now, and he's one of the reasons why it happened in the first place. And he can't celebrate Deku's return like everyone else can, because he still feels guilty about everything that's happened. So basically, and then a commercial break happens. Aoyama discusses how his family was happy. They married, they had him as a kid, and then they found out he was quirkless, and his, there's nothing he can do to get a quirk, but that's when they made the deal with All for One. And so that led to the next surprise, a surprise birthday party. He first got the quirk in the top left, didn't feel good, it was not good. He was still a child, so he obviously does not, he didn't really have much say in the matter, but his family, being rich, was able to get him this belt that allows him to use his quirk efficiently without being sick as much. And so because of that, he was able to fit in at school where everyone had a quirk, including him now. So I thought that was pretty good flashback. Again, it was really nice to see that the parents are trying their best to make their child happy, and by any means necessary. And that's something I think adds a little bit of humanity to the episode. Is it's not just straightforward, just convenient plot writing. I think it makes sense, and I'm glad that the parents are involved. Then we go back, and we get a interaction between them. The parents are trying to be pushed away by their son, and he says that he fell into desperation. He had given up hope once he found out that Deku was in trouble, and he had gone out. He was quirkless as well, and he fell into despair. And so out of desperation, he attacked Deku with his quirk, his naval laser. And of course, Toru is still there, the invisible girl. She is able to refract light, and the naval laser is light. So basically, she blocked the laser protecting Deku, and you can see on the right side of the screen, still invisible, she was able to block it, and she's steaming. Obviously, I believe she blocked it more with her hands more than anything. Obviously, we can see the steam coming off of her, but we get to see her full body because the light is obviously causing some kind of disturbance in her quirk. And so that leads to Toru having an emotional kind of like, not breakdown, but like, more like a questionable emotions. Like why is Aoyama doing this? Did he ever really truly feel like he was a student, was their friend at UA? And then it leads to this face. We get to see her in the actual show, not just the cutscenes or the opening cinematics, her face. The light actually showed her face. And we can see her face in full glory. Obviously, she's crying. Again, the voice acting in this episode was phenomenal. This is another one of those moments where it just feels like her plea, asking Aoyama why he's doing this, and that, everyone could have died. How did he feel during this entire time? The voice acting in here is just so perfect to me that it made me tear up too. I thought it was very well voiced out, and it makes a very sad, scene. So, in the end, Deku was able to restrain his parents, Aoyama's parents, and Aoyama himself. And as you guys can see, they're both crying. It's a very emotional moment. And even though Aoyama thinks he is a villain, and there's nothing he can do to, basically make amends for what he's done, Deku's crying because he's also like this isn't the end. This can't be it. There's no way this is real. There's got to be something else that he could have done, to help his friend. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And so they take him into custody, and they take him into custody, and the teachers are all there. The police are there. By the way, my cat is here as well, so I do apologize if it gets in the way. So they restrain the family, as you guys can see. Look at the face of All Might. He is in total, shock. I mean, his face says it all. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, he must be feeling like crap right now. That one of his students is, the spy that they've been kind of looking for since what was it, season 3 or I forget, season 3 or 4. And so now that they found him, like, what did they do? And so that also leads to the shock faces of not just the adults, but the students as well. You guys can see here, the whole class 1A, sorry, is there. They are all there. Even though the principal asked them to leave, they said that's not possible. It's just impossible for them to leave. Like, they need to know the truth as well. And so another thing to note here as well is Ashiro she's the only one that actually was crying besides Deku. None of the other classmates were technically crying or shedding tears. Only she was, as well as Deku. Obviously, Deku has a strong connection with all of the students, not just a few. But I found that quite interesting. But the students were asking, like, did any of their friendships with Aoyama, did any of it mean anything? Did he actually, in a way, maybe even intend to kill them, behind their backs? Who knows? What could have been happening? What could have went through their minds, during this entire time? And so it's very sad to see that a friend, or someone they considered a friend, could possibly be a spy or a villain in this case. And so basically the episode starts to wrap up here, and the police start questioning him as well. Deku starts questioning him as well, and then of course it leads up to the point where Aoyama does confess, and he starts talking about how he feels guilty about it. It was him who did it, and basically Deku says no, it wasn't him. It can't be, and his tears says it all. Aoyama crying, and his nose is dripping, his eyes are bawling, he is soaking wet, and basically Deku doesn't believe it, and he believes that Aoyama is basically being used by All For One, just like how Lady Nagant was, and how possibly that he could be in danger. Obviously, the family says that if they didn't cooperate, they would have been killed. They've seen the bodies. They've seen many victims of All For One, and so they decide that they have to comply if they want to keep their lives, including their sons. And unfortunately, this could be the result. Lady Nagant, she died in an explosion because of All For One. He laid a trap. If she didn't do what he wanted, she would blow up and die. So the episode basically ends with Deku saying that no, that is wrong. Aoyama is not a villain. He can still be a hero. And then even though they gagged him so he can't speak anymore, the episode ends with Deku holding out his hand, asking him one more time if he wants to be a hero, because that is Aoyama's dream. That is his dream since he was a kid, to be a hero like everyone else. And so that's how the episode ends. It was a very emotional moment. And even though he cannot speak, we can clearly see that he does want to be a hero. And so, again, yes, main character, plot convenience stuff, right? Of course, he's the one to reach out and be the one who connects with the other characters. But this is a special one because he knows, Aoyama actually had connections with him in past seasons where, they looked out for each other. And so Deku feels like he can help his friend. Just like a true hero, he can help anybody. It doesn't matter if they've done anything wrong or if they've been bad throughout their entire lives. And everyone has a chance to redeem themselves. And Deku even says that one crime does not make you a villain. And that he can still be a hero. He just needs to be brave enough and strong enough to do that. And basically that's what we're probably going to see in the next episode. So as you guys can see, that was a whole episode. Hero of the episode is Toru. She was able to discover that Aoyama was a spy, and basically give the idea to the students as well as the teachers that, hey, even though Aoyama is a spy, he is able to trick. He is the sole survivor right now that can trick All For One. Basically, they have a slight edge in that department. Yes, they don't know where they are. They have to wait and find out where the villains are in order to attack them. And even though they're short-handed, if they get the surprise attack on them, then they have the advantage. Surprise attack is always good. And so, I know I've just pretty much rambled about the details of the episode, but I do want to say that it was actually well made. In my opinion, it was really well made. Again, like I said, the voice acting was phenomenal. The character designs, great as always. The flow, the pacing, everything was really good. Honestly, I felt the episode was too short because of how nice it flowed. I was like, oh my god, that's it? Really? I want more. And so I gotta wait another whole week just to see another episode. And that's kind of sad because I'm enjoying it so much. Compared to the last two episodes, I really enjoyed this episode a lot. I was able to see not just all the students again, but I was able to get the emotions out as well. It was a very touching episode, as well as get more character insight into not just a couple characters, but a few of them, And we also get to see exactly what's happening right now with the villains. Obviously, there's something going on with Dabi. He has some kind of plan that he needs to put into action, as well as Tomura. He is currently injured. Like they said at the end of episode 2, that we have now an extension of time before Tomura makes his next move. We can see now that yes, he is still in pain. He is still crippled. As I showed you guys before, his skin was cracking, and so he is still under the effects of New Order basically destroying itself. And so that was the result of it. So right now we don't know how much time, but obviously the time that flows in anime is just going to go like that. In an instant we could be into war the next day. So I like that we got to see a little bit of everything, the villain side, the students, the hero side as well. And I think the flashbacks worked out really nicely as well. So overall, I would actually rate this episode probably an 8, a solid 8. It was a great episode in my opinion. Maybe even a 9. But I'm going to go with a solid 8 for sure. It was a really good episode, and I was able to see a lot of the aspects of the My Hero universe come into play here. And I think that's something that a lot of the other episodes are starting to lack just because we're always focusing on what's happening in this specific location. Whereas here, we're able to see from the villain side, the students, and the heroes as well, what conflicts each side's going through, as well as what they're doing to prepare for the next step in the episode or in the series. So overall, it was really nice, and I think going forward, I can't wait to see what happens next. I really don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, I said in the previous episodes, I don't watch the mangas, I don't read the manga, so I don't know anything. I don't know any spoilers of myself. I just watch the anime, and that's where I'm getting my information from. And so, I can't wait for next week. I'm excited. I can't contain my excitement in a sense. I really, 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 really want to know what happens next. But overall, that was a great episode to watch. I hope the future episodes are just as good. But yeah, that's it for now. I think that's all I had to say. If I think of something else, I'll probably write it in the description here. If not, I hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown of the episode as well. If you did, hit the like button, comment down below what you guys thought, and subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. And of course, stay tuned for the next week. I know this one's probably a little bit more boring than last week's. I really kind of at a loss for words. I just really wanted to just make this video, get it out there, share my thoughts and opinions on it, and hope you guys felt the same way as me. So I think the biggest takeaway here for me is that we got to see Toru in action. For the most part, she doesn't do too much. Obviously, there's not much she can do. She's an invisible character. Okay, that's all she's really good for, right? Stealth. Not really much for combat as well, as we can see from her physique. She's not exactly, built. So, to see that she was able to come out with this information, and she didn't hesitate either. She didn't hesitate to grab Deku and tell him what's going on, nor did she hesitate to block the laser. I mean, normally that probably would have hurt someone, but because of her quirk, she's able to deflect it. So I thought it was a really good episode for her, and who knows, we'll see what happens going forward. Maybe she will still play a big part in the war arc. We'll see. I'm hoping she does. Just FYI, my middle name is also Toru, so I feel a little bit of connection to her. I think it's really cool that she has some bravery to her, and that she is willing to sacrifice herself if needed. But yeah, that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hope you guys have a great day. Have a great week, and we will see you for the next episode. That's it. Take care, and bye-bye.